Hey guys, we're going to get started on our Unit 7 Quiz 3 review. The questions highlighted in gray are ones that I'm not doing, but they generally have duplicates, so you'll be fine. Find the distance between the following points and simplify the radical. Well, for number 1, we use the distance formula, right, which is, so we just plug in, simple, easy, plug and chug. 6 minus -4, so plus 4 squared, plus 6 minus -2, so plus 2 squared. We end up with 10 squared, which is 100, plus 8 squared plus 64. We get the square root of 164. Alright, we have to simplify though, simplify the radical. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the prime factorization. Do you guys remember fraction, or what are they called? Factor trees, sorry. Something similar to that, but we're going to stick them under here. So 164 has 2, 50, 32, 82, yeah, 82. So another 2. Now we're at 41. 41 is a prime number. These 2's can come out, so we have 2 root 41. Okay? That's the answer to number 1. Number 2, find the midpoint between the following points. That's just the midpoint formula, which we all remember, I hope. And we do 2 minus 7, right? Add these 2 up, and that's negative, over 2, comma, 13 plus 9 over 2. So we end up with, let's see, -5 over 2, comma, 13 plus 9, 22, comma, 11. Okay? So that's how you do those. Hopefully that's easy peasy for you guys. Alright, find the missing endpoint of each segment. Alright, we have an endpoint and we have the midpoint. Let's make our other endpoint x, comma, y. Alright? So, what we're going to do is set it up just like we would with the midpoint formula, but we already know the midpoint, right? So we do, to find our x value, we do 4 equals 6 plus x over 2. And to get our y value, we do 1 equals -5 plus y over 2. We multiply this out, we get x equals 2, right? This is just algebra, 2, 7, and y equals 7. So our other endpoint is 2, comma, 7. Alright? Alright, slope-intercept form. That's just y equals mx plus b, right? So we have to find the slope. We find the slope by doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now it's only with partitions that it matters which one you name x1 and y1 and which one you name x2 and y2. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to pick, this is my 2 and this is my 1, my equation 2 and my equation 1. So I'm going to do, let's see, 3 minus -6, so 3 plus 6, over 4 minus 2. I end up with 9 over 2, right? So this is my slope, that's my m. Alright, so now I have y equals 9 over 2, x plus b. I still need to figure out what that b is. So I take either one of the points, it doesn't matter which, you get the same answer, and I stick it in. So -6 equals 9 over 2 times 2 plus b. These cancel, subtract 9, -15 equals b. So your answer, which I guess I'll write here, sorry guys, ignore that, this is the answer to this one, is going to be y equals 9 over 2 x minus 15. Alright? Let me give you a second to write that down. Pause it if you'd like. Alright, I'm going to move on. Alright, number 9. Write the equation in point-slope form. Well, point-slope form looks like this. Well, I guess we don't need parentheses. Y minus y1, or y1 is whichever point we choose, right? equals m times x minus x1. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find our slope first, right? So we do, let's see, 5 minus negative 4, 5 plus 4, over 2 minus 3, which equals 9 over negative 1. So negative 9 is our slope, right? And now we plug in that as our m, and we plug in whichever point we want. It's okay. I'll do both. So we plug that in. So let's do the first one. So the answer is y minus 5 equals 9 over x minus 2, or both are acceptable. Y plus 4, right, minus negative 4 equals negative 9, I'm sorry guys, negative 9 x minus 3. Alright, so that's how you do that. Alright, standard form is interesting. You write it in ax plus by equals c. A must be greater than 0. You cannot have a negative a. Alright, and neither a, b, or c can be fractions. Alright, so I'm going to show you how we would get that. So the first thing you have to do, and I guess you could do it differently if you so chose, I generally like to set it up in point-intercept form. You could also do point-slope. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. Actually, it's probably easier to do point-slope, so let's try that. Did I say point-intercept? I meant slope-intercept. Alright, so let's find our m real quick. So we have 11 minus negative 1, so plus 1 over 0 minus 7, 7 minus 0. We get 12 over 7. Alright, so that's our slope. Alright, let's put it in slope point form. Sorry, there's a lot of names for last things. So we have y plus 1, right, y minus negative 1, equals 12 over 7 times x minus 0, which is just x, right? Alright, so now we're going to multiply this out. We get y plus 1 equals 12 over 7x, right, because the 0 goes away. Or we can just leave that. Oops, that's a 2. Alright, and now we can do 1 equals 12 over 7x minus y, right, because this has to remain positive, but we still have this fraction. Now, a, b, and c cannot be fractions at all. So even though a is the only one that can't be negative, the rest can't be fractions either. So you can multiply everything by this denominator 7 to get it all over 1, right? So we get 7 equals 12x minus 7y. Alright, and that's your answer. So let's move on. Alright, number 13. I am aware that the answer to this is y equals 3x plus 7. Yes, I'm sorry, that was an accident. That was not meant on purpose. You can just write that as the answer for this. I mean, you're not turning this in, and you probably won't have something like this on the quiz or test or anything, so don't worry too much about it. But yeah, that was just a mistake on my part. I'm sorry. So let's look at 14. Alright, we have this, and we're looking for the equation of a line parallel to the following line, and that goes through this given point. So if it's parallel, it means it has the same slope, right? So m is going to be 0.5 or 1/2, which is what I'm going to write it as. So now we just put all this in, alright? We have 0 equals 1/2 times 1/4. You know, you can leave it as a decimal, you put it in fraction form, whatever, doesn't matter. Plus b, so this ends up being 0 equals 1 over 8, x, no, sorry, not x, 1 over 8 plus b, so b equals negative 1/8. Alright, so we end up getting y equals 1/2 x minus 1/8. And that's the answer to 14. Alright? And you can leave that in fraction form, or decimal form if you want. So that's y equals 0.5 x minus 1/8 is 0.125, I think. Sorry if you can no longer see that, but you get the picture. All right, I'm doing 15. Sorry that it was accidentally highlighted. Write the equation of a line perpendicular to the following line and that goes through the given point, so it has to be perpendicular. Now the slope of a line perpendicular to this will have an opposite reciprocal slope. So the reciprocal means flipped, and the opposite means it has a different sign, so it's positive instead of negative. So our m for this, or our slope, is going to be 1/2, right? So now we plug in. 4 equals 1/2 times 2 plus b. These cross out, that's 1. 3 equals b. So your answer is y equals 1/2 x plus 3. Okay? Alright, so this one, number 17, are the lines passing through the given points parallel, perpendicular, or neither? All you have to do is find the slope of line 1 and the slope of line 2. So we're going to do m, L1, right? Sub L1 so we know which slope it is, equals, let's see, 2 minus negative 3, so 2 plus 3 over 1 minus 3, which equals 5 over negative 5 over 2, right? And m, L2 equals, let's see, 5 minus 3 over 7 minus 2, which equals 2/5. So these are perpendicular, all right? That's the sign for perpendicular, or you can write it out, whatever. Okay? So that's how you do that. All right, guys, I'm not going over number 19 because it's, like, you have it in your graphic organizers. If you just look at your graphic organizer, you'll be fine. You'll be able to do this one. One thing I will say, though, is if it's the property of a rhombus, it's also the property of a square. If it's the property of a rectangle, it's also the property of a square, okay? The squares have all the properties of a rectangle as well as all the properties of a rhombus. So if it's this, well, that's not true. If it's this, it's definitely, if it's a square, it's definitely a rhombus and it's definitely a rectangle, okay? It's just a combination of the two. I also don't plan on going over 20 through 25, but here's what you need to know about this. You don't have to use numbers for this. This is just testing you on your knowledge of the properties of each of a square, a rectangle, or a rhombus. Also keep in mind, it doesn't say state all that apply, and it might on the quiz or test, I don't remember. But if it does, like, let's see, this is a square, right? Because these are congruent, which is a property of a rectangle. The diagonals are congruent. And the diagonals form a right angle, meaning that they're perpendicular, which is a property of a rhombus. So this is a square. So you could just write square, or if it says to list all that apply, you would say square, rectangle, and rhombus, right? Because it's all three. All right, make sure you're able to do this, guys. I mean, it's not hard, and obviously, like, you can just eyeball it, I guess. But just note, like, this doesn't look like a square, but it's a square. I mean, it's just not on a scale. All right, just be aware of that sort of thing, and you should be okay. All right, number 26. This one is fun. I've gone over it with a few of my classes today. So let's graph our parallelogram ABCD. 0, 2. This is A. B is 6, -4. B. C is 3, -7. Say over here. Sorry guys, I know this is not completely drawn to scale, but I'm just graphing it so we get an idea of where everything is. And D is -3, -1. So this is about D. Alright? Alright? So, in order to tell if it's a rectangle, there's a few ways we can do it, and you have a graphic organizer that'll help you with that. So one of the ways is in a rectangle, the diagonals have to be congruent to each other. All right? So here's what you would do. You would check the slope of AC, and you would check the slope of BD. All right? So let's see, AC is 2 plus 7, because 2 minus -7, and 0 minus 3, which is 9 over -3, which is -3. And BD, oh, I'm sorry, this is for a rhombus, my bad. You don't use the slope, you use the distance formula. I'm sorry. So slope of AC equals, let's see here, 3 minus 0 squared plus, or I meant to do 0 minus 3 squared plus, or plus 3. Oh, no, 0 minus 30, sorry guys, taking me a minute. And 2 plus 7, right? 2 minus -7 squared. So we end up with the square root of 9 plus 81. We get the square root of 90. And you don't have to simplify this simply because it doesn't really matter so long as we get the square root of 90 for the next one. So now we do the distance of BD. Do the distance formula. 6 plus 3 squared plus BD, -4 minus 1. We end up with 81. -4 plus 1, sorry, -4 plus, minus -1 plus 1. So plus 9, which equals root 90. So yes, this is a rectangle. All right? There's a few ways you could do it. I just did it this way. All right, for rhombuses, this is where you're going to use the slope, because if it's a rhombus, the diagonals will be perpendicular. Okay? So we do M of AC and M of BD. So with AC, we're going to do 2 minus -7, 2 plus 7, over 0 minus 3, we end up with -3, right? And with the slope of BD, we're going to do -4 plus 1 over 6 plus 3. We end up with -3 over 9, which equals -1/3. These are not perpendicular. Because yes, they're reciprocals of each other, but they don't have an opposite side, right? They're both negative. So no, it's not a rectangle. Or a rhombus, sorry. No, it's not a rhombus, it is a rectangle. Alright, so we come down. Is it a rectangle? Not a rectangle. Or, sorry, yes, it is a rectangle. I'm sorry, I get so confused because they both start with all on it. It just confuses me, so yes, rectangle. No, not a rhombus. And finally, if it's a rectangle but not a rhombus, then it's not a square, right? It has to be both. All right? That's very important. Okay, so that's how you do this one. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. All right, just 2 more questions. Okay. So given the following ratios, identify how many parts each should have and change the ratio. So for parts is just A plus B, right? This is A, this is B. And the fraction is just A over A plus B. So this is 5, and the fraction is 2/5. That's it. All right, pretty simple. That's what you do for all 3 of those. And finally, find the point S that partitions the line segment below in a ratio of 1 to 2. So keep in mind But since it doesn't tell us what to what, you can just read it from left to right. If it doesn't say it, just do it that way. It's easiest. So let's see. -1, 7 is this point, and this point is 5, 1. All right. So we're going to use our partitioning formula, and we're going to do, see, for those of you who want to see it, just going to bring it down, there we go. Sorry, -1, 7, yes, these are all your formulas. Oops. 5, 1. All right, so we're going to plug it into this formula, right? So we're going to do, and it matters which is x2 and which is x1, or which is 2 and which is 1. So this one is 2, this one is 1. 1 is our starting place, 2 is our ending place. Our a over a plus b, a over a plus b is 1 over 3. All right, so what we're going to do is plug it into the formula. So we do 5, I'm too sharp for that, sorry guys. 5 plus 1, comma, times 1/3, or not comma, in parentheses, times 1/3, minus 1, now comma, let's see, 1 minus 7, times 1/3 plus 7, okay? And we end up getting 6 times 1/3 minus 1, comma, -6 times 1/3 plus 7. We end up with, this is 2, so it ends up being 1, comma, -2, comma 5. Okay? Please keep in mind that tomorrow on the formula sheet, you're only getting these 3 formulas. The rest you need to know. Sorry guys, that's just how it is. Midpoint formula is easy, guys. You should be able to just get that, remember that. And you need to know these forms. And slope you should know for a long time. So good luck tomorrow, guys. I believe in you.